I was in my mid-20s working for eBay as a trade show manager. And after working there for a couple of years, there was an opportunity to move up the ladder into a senior leadership position. So I thought, great, this is my opportunity to go inside and get that promotion. So I worked up the nerve and I walk into the office to speak to the VP of marketing. And I said to him, listen, I've worked here for a couple of years and I want to take this job and I think I deserve this promotion. And by the way, I think you should pay me a little bit more money as well. To which he responded, I'm sorry, who are you? I said, I'm the girl who's been working here for 4 years and running about 100 trade shows a year for you, so give me this promotion. And he said, I'm sorry, I had no idea. In that moment, I got a sinking feeling in my stomach as I realized that my boss had been taking all the credit for my hard work. So I said to him, listen, okay, I understand you're not going to give me this promotion, but I'm going to take this job anyway, and I'm going to prove myself to you. And we left it at that. What I learned from that experience is that we've been getting terrible career advice, ladies. Conventional wisdom tells us that if we work really hard, put our head down, that somebody somewhere is going to recognize us and reward us. But here's the thing, hard work isn't enough. We actually also need to learn how to be effective leaders every step of the way. So part of the challenge that we have as women in the workplace is that we are sent confusing messages on how to lead. We're told to be assertive, but not too much, because otherwise we'll be labeled aggressive or difficult to work with, or another terrible word. And I don't know about you, but that's just plain exhausting. Research has shown that many women are unclear on how to be both liked and respected in the workplace. And this is something that's called the double bind. The double bind sets us up with having to choose between a too feminine style of leadership versus a too masculine style of leadership. And we're boxed between being the nice girl or the ice queen. And there are pitfalls on either side of that spectrum. So I wanted to get to the bottom of this pesky double bind. And like any overachieving female, I decided to go out and write a book about it and did a lot of research and combined that with my personal leadership experience along with the experience of coaching hundreds of executives. And I developed something that I call the feminine leadership model, which combines both masculine and feminine qualities of leadership and offers a new roadmap for women to play to their strengths and still be authentic and effective as leaders. So fast forward, I'm now in this new job, and the job requires me to lead and produce something called eBay Live, which is a 10,000 person conference. So it's the first day of our big task force meeting, and I go in and I'm about to speak to about 20 executives sitting in the room as they stare at little old me. And in that moment, I had a choice to make. How was I going to show up as a leader? So remember, I'm still vying for that promotion. So I want to go in there and prove myself. So I go in and I start delegating tasks to every single person in that room, right? Not so much. Here's what I did instead. I walked in and I said, listen, here's my vision. I want this to be the best produced, best attended eBay Live in our company's history. But I have a little bit of a secret. I've actually never done this before, and I really have no idea what I'm doing, and I really need your help. In that moment, I got the sinking feeling again, and I was terrified that people were going to not see me as an authority or as a leader, and that I would never get that promotion. Instead, something else happened, which was quite surprising. People started raising their hand one by one and started volunteering to take over their roles and responsibilities. They started sharing best practices, and meeting after meeting, they came prepared and they gave 150% of themselves to produce the most well-organized, well-attended eBay Live in our company's 10-year history. So what's the moral of the story? In that moment, when I asked for help, I was practicing vulnerability. And when we use vulnerability in the right moments, it can be a strength, not a weakness. Brené Brown says that vulnerability is the birthplace of connection, and I couldn't agree more. The moment that I was able to admit that I needed help, it created instant trust within my peers, and we were able to collaborate and work well together. So the other challenge that women face in the workplace is this challenge between being too assertive versus being too aggressive. And the feminine leadership model offers some components to address that as well. And the second component I want to speak to you about is something called centering. Now, in our quest to not be too assertive or too aggressive, we tend to downplay ourselves. So we'll make a statement that goes something like this. I think we should go into the board of directors and ask for more money, with an inflection at the end. It's something called upspeak, and women do it all the time, but when we do, it undermines our authority. So the antidote to that is something that I call centering. What is centering? Centering is that feeling you feel when you walk out of a yoga class and you feel really calm, cool, and collected. Now, not all of us have the pleasure of taking a yoga class in the middle of our day, unless of course you work for Google. But we can have the choice of walking around the block or doing some deep breathing or practicing what I call the centering exercise that I practice with my clients. Either way, find something that works for you and practice it before you go in to deliver that difficult presentation or have that tricky conversation. It will ground you and you'll be able to be direct without being too aggressive or too emotional. So you may wonder whatever happened with that promotion. Did I get that promotion? Absolutely. And I knew that that risk that I had taken that day to practice vulnerability paid off when one of those executives came back to me and said, you know, Monique, it's really been a breath of fresh air working with you. So I invite you to think about letting go of your need to prove your value and instead own your unique feminine strengths. You might find that you're more powerful than you think. Thank you.